Good afternoon, everyone. Start the program. So, on behalf of Manipal Law School, I take this opportunity to welcome you all to the roundtable discussion on the impact of data protection law on the fintech industry. Now, we have seen over the past several weeks the data protection bill sprinted to become Data Protection Act. And through several years of negotiations, deliberations, and postponements, it has finally become an act in India and has been published in the official gazette on 11th August 2023. Now, with this, there is a lot of cloud around what Data Protection Act is, how industries should promote and align themselves, how they should comply with the law. There's a lot of gray area and there are so many critical issues to be deliberated upon. So we thought Manipal Law School, along with DPDPA, under the aegis of Professor Dr. Avinash Dadich, Director MLS, and N.A. Vijay Shankar sir, whom we fondly call as Navi, we decided to make a first move to look into the intricacies, the nuances of the data protection law. There is a mad rush right now among the industry to follow international laws on data privacy. Whereas we need to look at the Indian law per se and align ourselves to the needs of what the local requirements are per se in India. So we thought of conducting this roundtable discussion to kind of eliminate the gray area. And with fintech industry, the industry is data utilization and innovation. So there is a larger need to start early, to start the compliance crowd up. Hence, this program was initiated by a collaboration from DPDPA and MLS. Dr. Avinash Karim sir will throw light on the collaboration that we have made. Let me take this opportunity to introduce our speakers first. I would like to introduce Mr. N. Vijay Shankar. He is the Executive Chairman of Foundation for Data Protection Professionals in India. He is a pioneer in cyber law and data protection law in India. An ex-banker with wide experience in marketing, merchant banking, and information security. He is an author of many books and a thought leader with innovative concepts such as Personal Data Protection Standard for India, Data Valuation Standard for India, Online Data Trust Code, Self-Evaluation Tool for SMEs and MSMEs, and also develop sectoral codes for companies. He is a qualified independent director certified by IICA. He is now aspiring and working towards a human rights legislation, which is a novel concept in India. I will further take this opportunity to introduce our director, Professor Dr. Avinash Dadich. Avinash Dadich, sir, is a man who dons many hats. He has a rich academic and industry experience with specialization in competition law and a law on regulation of AI, robotics, governance of internet, and data privacy. He has completed his PhD from United Kingdom and LLM from France on full scholarships and earned LLB from University of Delhi. He has held the position of Dean GLA University, Mathuram IIFL Law School. He has been an advocate for Supreme Court of India. He has worked as a manager in Deloitte and a senior consultant in Ernst & Young. He has also been an expert with Competition Commission of India and Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. He has also worked in international firms such as White & Case and Laurent Noël LLP in Paris. I would also request, sir, before taking the program forward, I would request you all to introduce yourselves so that we can initiate the discussion on this topic.
Hi, good afternoon all. I'm Veena Begeri from ITC Fintech. I'm part of the DPO office and bring in service delivery experience of about 30 plus years and in privacy for about 5 plus years and GDPR has come. I'm eagerly waiting to listen to all of our views and get any support.
I have one Srikanth and from ITC Infotech. What I was from finance function. Because I'm waiting on the
Everyone, I'm Subbaraidu. I'm the certified public accountant. I have my CPA firm with reputation in Delaware, US. I do a lot of software test solutions for companies who want to sell to the US, a lot of SaaS startups.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Santosh. I am the Director of Education representing Government of Australia and India. My role is to enhance bilateral trade and cooperation between Australia and India in the field of education. Happy to be here. Incidentally, I was here earlier this morning, and since this event was happening, I dropped by to learn more about this act.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sahil Varga. I am director at Saru Academy. So we deal in training and certification of courses related to data privacy and cybersecurity. So I head the academic business for India and overall. Thank you.
Myself, Satish Kumar Vivashi. I'm the senior editor at DPDPA. I'm sure you know we Bangalore is the first on, well, it is an AgTech enterprise, but I've been associated with Fintech for the many years and the correct. It's a passionate person to me, and I was the past president of the Central Bangalore chapter. I'm sure many of you know that.
Good afternoon. I'm Suresh Rajan. I work for a technology service provider based out of Chennai that supports that produces financial products. You might have known about this company, financial software and systems. I worked as a legal counsel and I handle the license usually.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. This is Venkatesh here. So I was last associated with a company called as SignEasy, which was doing e-signatures. So right now, yeah, I'm open for opportunities and with this forum when I met Nami sir via the Telegram group, I thought I just join and then learn from all these Star Wars. Thank you.
Hi, all. Good afternoon. I'm Janardhan. Right now, I have been associated with Kickstart Solutions. It's a consulting firm for ISO and ISO's application. And I worked as a lead implementer in IDA automation. Please.
Hi, good afternoon. Myself, Rajiv. I'm part of DNB. So right now I manage the cybersecurity and privacy services for its supply chain and product assurance solution. And in fact, I have been associating with the DPDPA for last 3-4 years.
Hi, myself Kavita. I work at a national industry called the Brad Law and part of the DPO.
Hi, my name is Prasanna. I am currently working as an independent security consultant. My Fintech security and compliance. Previously, I was at Infosec at Navi Technology, one of the fastest.
Hi everyone, this is Sajmal. I work for 24/7 AI. We are into platform services, AI services, plus we also have review services, right? So we deal with a lot of compliance and data protections for the customer data, all this stuff. So especially AI products, what we're building. Currently, we started dealing with ChatGPT and other stuff, right? So we are dealing with a lot of data, and so I'm here to understand, though we do the business in US, most of the business in US, what kind of this act, how it will impact the people who are working in India, what data we collect, those things. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rakshit. I'm a deputy manager with Deloitte India. I work as part of the cyber risk and strategy. And when we deal with risks, we need to consider privacy implications as well, and hopefully get a few ideas over here on how to implement DPDPA.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Radha. I work with Deloitte as assistant manager, and I am also here to understand the implications of DPDPA in order to advise people, advise our clients, etc., on the implications of the law.
Hi everyone, I am Bhargavi. I work as an assistant manager with Deloitte, here to understand how DPDPA is going to impact all of our clients and be in a better position to give them advices as and when required.
I am Dr. Elias Subramanian. I'm a cybersecurity consultant and also a technology consultant.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prabhu Pathak. I am Managing Director and CISO for Logica Software Technologies. So we are basically primarily into US healthcare. We have office in California. So I'm looking forward to learn more about data protection. In the context, we do a lot of such things for US governments and healthcare.
Good afternoon, all. Vidya Sagar. I come from the technology space. I work largely with the financial services, consulting on technology strategy. I've been a student of Navisera in ONS, student of the past association. Happy to be here.
Good afternoon, I'm Suresh Malapur. I work for a global IT company as the a risk and compliance head for America's practices. And I've been in privacy space since last 13, 14 years, and I've been a student of Navi and one of the members of DPDPA as well. So that's my association here. Looking forward to learn from all of you. Thank you. Thanks.
Hi everyone, myself Savita Ranawde and I'm a Pune chapter president for DPDPA. And I've been with Navi sir for the last 5 years and he has nurtured me as a professional in privacy and I thank him for that. And I was working with Infosys and Capgemini and ANG before that, 15 plus years of experience. And then I thought of starting my own organization called as Ideally Secure and Privacent, focusing on privacy awareness in the month of January. And now as a founder, I help organizations build culture of privacy and awareness around the organization so that the employees are well versed.
I'm Kodan Ram, retired officer, relaxing my retirement. But due to forensic aspects, I had the company of about 50 years. He has been taking me on wherever he goes. I am trying to learn, get back to the requirement of present day needs. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ashok. I'm a co-founder at Kickstart Privacy. We are well associated with the DPDPA since we are primarily into cybersecurity, data privacy related compliance. Back to you.
I'm Ram. Hello everyone. I'm the co-founder and I take care of everything. I'm here to explore opportunities and how I can value this.
I am Venkat. I'm a professor of practice in Nepal Law School. I have qualifications in engineering, cost management, accounting, master's in law. I have 38 years experience in academic industry.
Hello, my name is Vasudeva.
So good afternoon, friends, and on behalf of DPDPA, I am privileged to welcome you all, including Avnish, Rich, Vika, team at the MLS. We are very happy to be associated with MLS. We have been trying to finalize more collaborative projects with them. And in fact, this is one of the first projects which we are trying to do together. I am Navi, as most of you are aware of. I represent the DPDPA. And before we start, I would like to say a few words about the DPDPA and then I will request Okay. See, FTPPI is a very unique organization. So it requests us to tell you what is a TPPI. It is a Section 8 company. People recognize Section 8 companies as not-for-profit company. Okay. And it is a company which is limited by guarantees. Okay, so people who know the corporate this thing will understand that being a company limited by guarantees, we don't have equity stake. Nobody wants the company. And they have structured it like this as a replacement of a society kind of thing. We started in 2018. Actually, we were inspired or the necessity was felt because at that time GDPR came and companies in India were concerned about the impact of GDPR. So we stepped in to start working in this domain of data protection in India. So that was how we conceived this
FDPPI. Okay. We have today, of course, about 300 members. We are having a small board of 3 people, myself, and Ramesh Venkatraman and Nagendra Jawgar. And most of our members are working professionals. They are in various organizations. And out of our members, we have a category called supporting members. This is also very unique in the Indian context. We adopt what we call as actually a banyan tree model in the sense that the supporting members, today we are about 49 supporting members. Each of them is a company or an individual who can do his own consultancy or an organization which can do its own audit. Those are the people who are our supporting members, and we have a system whereby supporting members actually contribute to FDPPI by effort. Money they have paid once, perhaps we have got a lifetime kind of a membership. We are not looking at membership money to be raised, but effort contribution we are expecting from them, so that we have joint projects done between FDPPA and our supporting members. They also gain by the brand name of FDPPA. We also gain by the royalty which we have. So in a way, we are having 49 profit centers in our organization, out of which, of course, about 23 people are working employees. So they are there as supporting members because they felt they should take that risk. But other 26 people are commercial people who are working with us, and that is how we are able to execute projects of whatever we are trying to develop. Basically, this one slide is okay. See, our activities actually consists of the certification of professionals. We have actually built our certifications on law as well as the audit. So we have got a module I, which is called CDPP India, module G, which is CDPP Global. In module India, we discuss Information Technology Act and the DPDPA. We started this work somewhere in 2019 when we had the first draft bill. Since then, we have also been updating our courses. And whoever came to us in 2018 and studied whatever law was there at that time, we have always upgraded them to the new law without any further fees, because that is what we call as FDPPA guarantee or assurance for continuing education. So we are happy that we started creating professionals way back in 2018 when other people were thinking, India doesn't have a law, why should I conduct a certification program, kind of an approach. Then module A is the CDPP for audit, where we try to discuss the requirements of a data auditor, who is going to be the new profession in our country, and the DPO. Okay, so the three together we sometimes offer as a composite course or certification, which is what we have called as certified DPO and data auditor. Okay, you will not find this kind of a thing anywhere else in the world. Okay, I can show you. Okay, then of course we are starting one more batch of CDPP next Saturday. Then following week we are having one more batch. So concurrently we will be running 2 batches of CDPP on module I because of the change in the law. Module G is already there, and we will continue with that. Apart from this, another contribution which we have made to the community is with the development of a framework called PDPCSI, Personal Data Protection Standard of India. We are trying to develop an indigenous framework for compliance so that companies, particularly SMEs and MSMEs, need not worry about ISO 27701 audit, which is expensive for them because they cannot do it without an ISO 27001 audit. The two together is okay for large organizations, ITCs, and other things, but our focus is what will small and medium companies will do. DPDPA that DPDPA does not distinguish whether you are big or small. Okay, the responsibilities are same. Maybe we hope Data Protection Board will take that into account by fixing penalties. They may not fix the same 250 crore penalty for an SME, but still penalty can be there. So we need to spread this awareness and culture of privacy across the industry scenario. And that is one of the reasons why we said we will have our own framework. And this framework is inclusive of all the best practices of ISO 27001 and 27701. My colleague, Mr. Ramesh Venkatraman, is there on the virtual listing because he was not well. He could not join us here. He has done extensive mapping of PDP-CSI to other known frameworks. We are reasonably confident that we are covering everything. So that is one of our contributions. We have also tried to develop what we call as Indian National Register of Data Protection Professionals. So after giving them some certificate, we don't want to leave the professionals like that. We want to give them a recognition and then perhaps hold them for developing their career further. So one is recognition through the sign of DPP, and then we have created something called the Federation of Data Protection Professionals, FDPC, as a platform in which services can be exchanged. PDMAP is a platform which we are trying to develop for data disputes mediation and arbitration. For a long time, we have been saying that this will be a need, and government also has been telling grievance redressal is a mandatory thing. They have added it in this act as a right of the data principle. So we want our professionals whom we train, particularly lawyers, to actually become mediators and arbitrators there. So technology people will go and do audits, whereas our lawyers will go and contribute here. So in a way, we are giving them a progressive opportunities to serve in this industry. We have something called Privacy and Youth, which is an attempt to bring the college students into this, because otherwise we are a professional organization. People who are already in the organization for 10, 15 years are our members, because DPO itself is a senior position. So in order to bring the youth into this, we have created something called P and Y. So in a way, we are trying to cover an end-to-end service to enable professionals to learn, to get themselves recognized, and then use their say expertise in either employment or individually as a mini entrepreneur. And I hope this is what we would like to contribute to the whole say ecosystem of data protection professionals. So it is in this context that we are very happy to be here today, and we will be discussing today something specific to Fintech, but otherwise generally about the data protection and digital personal data protection.
So Ravi sir, can I ask the questions? Will you take later?
Yeah, briefly. Questions will take later on. We will get into the subject soon, but if you have anything, any pressing question, you can.
Yeah, sure. Actually, the two probably you can cover later. One is within the org enterprise, there should be some video or some specific roles. There will be responsible for entire organizations. How the data management will be. And in case there is any shortcomings, you should take care of the action items and take care part of the legal business. That is one part. Here is another portion is there should be some auditor. They will be coming based on the on behalf of Government of India. They will be licensed or authorized. They will be doing those organizations the audit part, right? So could you just give in a high level the roles and responsibilities for both these entities will be playing around, and then finally both should go hand to hand. Both should have the proper understanding so that audit should not be delayed and things can actually go.
First, I will answer it when we go into the details. Can you have the Sudarshan's introduction?
He can let a little bit later.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, he is a veteran in the field of
auditing.
I think most of you are aware. Yeah. You are
Okay, I can explain to this. Myself, Sudipto Mapa. I work in a technology industry, and I'm actually a technologist. I work in data privacy. How actually data privacy can be applied on the data level. Those defining the algorithms, take care end-to-end PCI, PIE, and the GDPR data elements. And I have actually from the scratch to the final implementations of the GDPR. And other one is also I take care of the AIML and end-to-end, kind of a data advocate, I would say. So yeah, taking this thing.
Thank you. I will stop here. I will request Mr. Raj to introduce his organization, then I'll come back.
So first of all, welcome all of you. I am Professor Avinash. So as you can see my profile, my background, I always used to believe, and still I believe very firmly that the job or the objective of a law school or a university is to serve the society. The universities and the law schools are not only for students and faculty and management. So this type of roundtable discussions, I think they are not very common in Indian law schools. But with the collaboration with Navi sir, we want to start these type of things. And we are developing our specialization and our expertise in this law school, focusing on technology law. So this year we started 2 LLM programs. It is the first time in India. LLM in data privacy and cyber law, and LLM in information technology. So because my own expertise and my research area is the AI law, AI ethics. I don't know much about the data privacy law, but my competition law, interface of technology with the competition law, intellectual property law. So that's our objective, and in the collaboration with Navi sir, we would like to develop interesting EDPs, MDPs, certificate programs, training programs for students, faculties, and industry. And the MLS we started last year, so we have LLB program, BLLB, BBLLB, and this year we started LLM program also. And next year we are planning to start few more LLM programs in construction law and infrastructure arbitration, and LLM in international commercial arbitration. So our objective is that we should design few programs which is not available in Indian market right now, and they are in good demand. And about this roundtable discussion, as we agreed with myself that my colleagues, they are writing their notes, and with your consultation, we will share the notes with you. And we would like to come up with one policy recommendation or some document out of this roundtable discussion, because you are all expert in data privacy, technology law, cyber law. So your suggestions, your comments, your observations should be properly mentioned somewhere, written somewhere, and it should be shared outside, outside of this room also. Okay. So we will create one document. We will share that document with you, and with your consent, and with your approval and all the things, we will go with a proper document. So I think this is the beginning of our law school collaboration with Navi sir. Navi sir, thank you very much for sitting on that. And we will do our best. We know very less. Normally, law schools, we professors don't admit, our ignorance, but trust me, we know very less. This is the area where we will be learning from you. Because when I started my LLM in data privacy and cyber law, and this year when I distributed papers to my faculty, trust me, nobody was very comfortable. Nobody has taught it. Nobody has learned these papers in their law school. So like data privacy, Indian data privacy, EU GDPR, privacy design, these are all like, physics for us. So we are learning. My faculties are learning, like for example, Dr. Jayash is teaching Fintech law this year. So again, it's like a new learning for us. I'm teaching some new area. So we will be very happy that you keep coming, you keep helping us, guiding us. Our both LLM programs are available in regular mode as well as hybrid mode. So regular mode for students who want to make career in data privacy and cyber law and tech law. But then we have hybrid mode for the working professionals. Because what I believe that in our country, which is really missing in legal education, that working professionals are not able to upgrade their degrees and their knowledge. So we started technology. You can always learn technology. It doesn't mind. So hybrid LLM is for working professional. It's available in public, in online mode, Monday to Saturday evening classes, and students they just need to come to write their end semester examination. This year we got 60 admissions overall in LLM program, 40 in hybrid, 40 in regular, and one person from your department by 2009 IRS batch, IRS from the I think indirect taxes. Currently is a joint director in ED. Few senior judges, few corporate people, few advocates. And next year we are starting a PG diploma also in data privacy science. So the idea is that let's use this law school as a platform where professionals, practitioners, academicians, we can all work together to create quality education program for our country. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So friends, the format for today's discussion is like this. All of you are experts in your own right, and we would like to involve you in the discussion. But before we start the discussion, I will try to spend some time to give you the basics of what is there in this act, so that for those of you who need to be reminded of what is there, we thought that we'll spend about 15 minutes just to talk about the act as it is present. But otherwise, this is not going to be a kind of a lecture session. We will be actually posing certain questions which we'll start discussing and take your views. Okay, so this is not picking up.
Yeah.
Okay. We also welcome people who are actually online. Some of them are our members and some of them are students. Okay. Yes. Oh. Now, just to give you a bird's eye view of this new data protection law, we have graduated from the version which Justice Sri Krishna first gave, which was called the DPDPA 2018. Then the government made some modifications and brought in what was called PDCE 2019. And that went through the Joint Parliamentary Committee and became something called DPA 2021. We were having that for quite some time. And then suddenly government withdrew the DPA 2021 and introduced a bill which was called at that time DPDPA 2022. Very quickly, government came up with the final version of that, and then in August, they have quickly passed it through the two houses of parliament, and then the presidential assent was also given on August 11th, so that the industry was actually very surprised that the bill became an act so soon. In fact, they were not prepared. Otherwise, we have been for the past 4 years, we have been telling industry, be prepared. Okay, there is nothing wrong in being ready for privacy implementation, because implementation is never going to be an overnight work. It is going to be a journey which will, in most of the organizations, will take not less than 1 year. Okay, maybe 6 months you can say I am ready, but really, until all your employees understand what is privacy and that culture gets ingrained, you are never into proper implementation. So it's a journey. So even if tomorrow government gives 1 year time for implementation before any penalties kick in, that entire 1 year is required for implementation. So, but it always happens like this. In fact, as I told you, DPDPA was inspired by the GDPR, and nobody in India or even EU trying to implement GDPR in the 2-year window they had given. Okay. So in January 2018, I started writing in India saying that we have to be getting ready, we have to be ready kind of thing. Okay, my site navi.org is known for such vocal expression of these things. Whether people like it or not, we try to speak out. Okay, so that is the global trend. And in India also, we follow the same thing, but now government surprised us by passing it through in 4 days and then giving the presidential assent also, so that there is no excuse now. So they are now going ahead with Okay. So we were looking at this particular act, and finally the government has come up with the passage of the act here. Yeah. For better acoustics. I see the mic is here. Okay.
No, but
Now we feel that the government is today trying to put together what is called the Data Protection Board, and once that is ready, we will be going at double the speed now, and we hope that that will happen within the next 2 months. Okay, we have a very dynamic Minister of State who himself is an expert. In fact, people like us cannot challenge him on anything on either this law or the ITA 2000, which is also getting transformed into Digital India Act. He knows everything himself, and he is going to bring in this board very shortly, and all of us will have to get ourselves ready. Okay, so that is the focus now. This has got 9 chapters and a schedule. Schedule is on the list of penalties, which is the most important thing for us, but it is there in the schedule, we will see later. But otherwise, like any other data protection law, it has got a chapter on obligations, a chapter on rights, and initial provisions will have to be there about applicability, that is there in chapter 1. Then there is going to be the regulator data protection board. You can see chapter 5, 6, 7, and to some extent 8. They are all related to regulatory authorities. So both chapters are on regulatory authorities itself. So this is how it is structured. Now, basically, what we need to study in this kind of a law is, where does this law apply? That is the first thing. Second, what are the rights of the data principals? What are the obligations of data fiduciaries? These are the 3 important things. If we know this, I think everything is okay. Privacy activists will be discussing about who is going to be the chairperson of Data Protection Board, whether he is appointed in consultation with the opposition or with the CJI. These are all things which we in the industry are not concerned with, because whoever comes there, we have to work with them. So similarly, how much of powers government should have is again not something which industry should worry too much about it. That is my view. So we will focus on the compliance requirements and leave it to the privacy activists and the media people to debate. Don't get unnecessarily diverted with the discussions on the constitution of the Data Protection Board or the powers of the government. Maybe when we conduct certification courses on law, we will discuss it in greater detail. But this being an industry forum, I would like to discuss more about the most important thing, which is the applicability. All of us should know whether it applies to me in my company. Again, here I have found even some experts have some, say, clouded thinking. This act, if you ask one question, to whom it's applicable, it is applicable to individuals, it's also applicable to companies. It is applicable to individuals as data principals in order to protect their rights. It is applicable to organizations who are perhaps data fiduciaries and specifies what kind of obligations should be there. So in the definition section, you will see at one place a person means and includes a HUF, a form or something like that. Many people immediately think that then the personal data about HUF, data about so-and-so is also covered. It is not meant like that. Data which is covered is still the personal data, that is of an individual. But when it is processed, even if the processing is done by an individual for commercial purpose, it is covered. So we look at the applicability of an individual, one as a data subject, here we call him as a data principal, and again as a processor if there is an individual who processes personal data for commercial purpose. Otherwise, it's all business entities. So it is applicable to all kinds of entities. There is no exemption. Government is covered, private sector is covered, education institutions are covered. As I said, individuals are also covered if they are processing it for commercial purposes. There is non-domestic purpose. Individuals processing personal data for domestic purpose is an exemption. NGOs are also covered. We are not exempted. Charitable organizations, temples, churches, maybe even masjids, wherever personal data is being processed, they are all going to be covered, provided data is collected in digital form. In fact, the name of the act itself is Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Okay, people have been asking, why only digital? Okay, government is very clear, saying that Putaswamy judgment spoke more about information privacy. If information privacy was not a concern, Putaswamy judgment would not have said anything about it. Worldwide, concern for privacy has been heightened because of the digitization of the society. Therefore, government said, we will first cover this. As far as covering privacy in other form, like paper form, the risks are not that great. And whatever law is currently handling it, maybe IPC, let it handle it. We will now address this digital personal data protection. If we do that, 99.5% of the concerns are addressed. So that is the approach. Maybe sometime in the future, government may think of something else. In fact, in 2006, government had come up with a bill called Personal Private Data Bill. Okay, it was actually introduced in the parliament along with the ITA 2000 amendment bill. ITA amendment passed in 2008, became a law, but this privacy bill was somehow, it did not find the destination. In fact, at that time, we had conducted a seminar in KLE Law College, which the then Law Minister of Karnataka, Mr. Suresh Kumar and others had come. And that time we were discussing, okay, this is a bill which is there, we will discuss that and see how it can be implemented. But from 2006 to 2023, our expectation has been still there, and now we are in this particular situation. Okay, so collected in digital form, in case it's collected manually, and then digitized, then also it is covered. Only thing is exclusive is if in the visitors register, if you are entering the personal data of a person visitor manually, now you don't have to worry about that personal data management. It is in this register form or manual form. But it doesn't mean that that can be neglected. There may be other laws taking care of it. That's all. So don't think that it is not required. Okay. This is for personal data processed in India. It is collected in India digitally and processed digitally. In case data is collected from outside India, then there are two opportunities. Things. That is, the organization may be outside India, but it may be collecting personal data about people in India. That is covered. That is the GDPR principle. But if there is a company which is in a foreign place, collecting the foreigners' data, processing it there itself, they don't have to worry, even if they are a company constituted in the Indian law. In the earlier cases, if I am an Indian company, I have a setup elsewhere, I might have been covered under the then law. Okay, now it is based on what data which you are processing. In fact, this law even gives an exemption. If foreign data is being processed in India, if the data is of foreigners, you are doing it under a contract, GDPR contract or something, government is willing to exempt it from this act by notification. Okay, but remember that when you are having an industrial activity here, this is not the only act which is applicable to you. There may be several other acts, and the Information Technology Act is also an act which will be applicable. So when it comes to say data breach of a personal data, as of now, it may apply, come both under ITA 2000 and this, we don't know. Okay. So there are certain overlapping situations which also the data protection officers should know. This is the reason why in our CDPP program, we have combined certain aspects of ITA 2000 into the curriculum. Okay, because I feel many times when I talk to the company officials, they don't know the basics of Information Technology Act, though they are dealing with data. There is greater awareness about GDPR. There have been awareness about DPDPA, but even today, I'm sure many of you would not have studied Information Technology Act, thought that that is required only for lawyers or something like that. But it is necessary to know something about it. Okay. So as far as the applicability is concerned, if data is processed in India, it will come into this act. But if the data process is that of a foreigner, then country may be willing to give some exemptions. So all BPOs can read a sigh of relief. But they may have to still look at security and other things. Otherwise, they may be caught under the Information Technology Act. Okay, we'll discuss questions when it comes later on, because some of you may be companies which are collecting information from one place, sending it out for processing at another place, and so on. Okay. Now, domestic purpose is exempt, and another important thing is about the publicly available data. So there are two things which, for compliance point of view, we are worried. One is about legacy data. Okay, what we already have, what do we do with that? Okay, this act says that you still have to try to get consent for processing. But when you send a request for consent, if that person does not respond, this act says, okay, then you can continue to process. See, this is a big relief to the industry. Okay, earlier when it was not there, we were not able to tell the company what to do. If you don't get response, we used to say, then you can't use it. Okay, because it is a deemed rejection. Now it is a deemed consent. Okay, so I think it's a big relief. If you do not get a negative response, you can go ahead, but you have to send a request for consent after this act is effective. That is one of the first activities in compliance. Then is publicly available data. The act says if data is made publicly available by a data principal, then you can use it, process it. But if data is not publicly made available by the data principal, it's available in dark web or something like that, there is no consent. It may be publicly available, but it is not made public by the data principal. So this kind of small nuances are there. And data of an individual which is not identifiable with an individual, it is not personal data. Technologists sometimes call it as anonymous data. Okay. Now, there has been GDPR specifically mentions that it is not applicable to anonymized data. So here, government has taken a very clever route. They have not made any mention of that. They said this is applicable to personal data, which automatically means it is not applicable to anything which is not personal data, which could be corporate data, which could be anonymized data. Then, of course, we have to wait and see what are all the rules and regulations, notifications, what is the standard of anonymization. Many of the people in the technology, they simply come up and say, anonymization is not reliable. Whatever you do, I will be able to break it. Same thing I can say even for encryption. Whatever encryption you do, I can break it, provided I put in the resources. But still, encrypted information is normally considered as secure information. Okay, those of you who are into HIPAA and other things know that it is part of that kind of a thinking. Okay, just as encryption can be broken, anonymization can also be broken. But the breaking activity is going to be considered as a cyber crime. So any technology person cannot say, I have got a technology skill and whatever you anonymize, I will de-anonymize. So anonymized personal data should not be considered as personal, exempted data is an argument which many people have made. In fact, in the Joint Parliamentary Committee when I went, this was half an hour, this was my discussion with Mr. Raju Chandrasekhar about what is anonymization, why anonymization should be considered as outside the provisions of the then DPDPA 2021. Okay, there was some confusion with the experts there. So finally, now they have come with a very clever thing that we will not talk about it. We'll say, just as we say, this act is applicable to digital personal data. We'll say it is applicable to personal data. So it is up to your imagination to see what will happen to something which is not digital personal data and not personal data. Okay. But I think anonymized personal data can be considered as outside the provision. We can see whether any standards and other things, the threshold standard will be notified by the government at the appropriate
Now, sir, I have a question on this, made available publicly. But made available publicly by the individual on his own volition.
Yes.
But suppose somebody else takes all the data, for example, this thing, and then pastes it on the website or something.
It is not publicly available. The only thing it says is legally if somebody has got the power to make that publicly available. If you see that this thing, either by the data principle or by a person who is under an obligation of law to divulge, then it is called personal publicly available.
Here the question is, when you create your account in a social media platform, right? Facebook account you create, Twitter account you create, right? The moment you provide your personal data while creating your account, can that be deemed to be data that has been made publicly available by me?
No,
And
whatever,
therefore tomorrow,
what is that you want to make publicly available? Your handle. Okay. Not that you are so and so, your age so and so and other things. No, that Twitter may collect for some reason, but that is not publicly available.
But if Twitter makes that information publicly available.
Twitter will be a data fiduciary is responsible for looking at.
But then I am providing them with the information, and if all of that information is available on my social media handle, like easy, when we open Facebook, date of birth is available to view. There was a time when we could even display our contact numbers.
You can make it private.
Would that data be considered? They've now made it private, but up to a certain point, it was very much visible to everyone.
One thing we'll ask the data fiduciary is, do you need this information? Okay. Do you need to know the age or do you know to know his qualification, etc.? Today, the only justification is collecting mobile number because people will say for security reasons, I want to have two-factor authentication. Therefore, give me your mobile.
Yeah.
And I want to have a triple authentication. I want to have email authentication. I want to have this. So I want your email ID for security purpose. I want your mobile for security purpose. So there is a logic for that. If they mention that, then
correct, because there are certain browsers, sorry to cut you, there are certain browsers which ask you for your official email ID. And if you try entering your Gmail ID as your official email ID, right, it does not accept.
Yes.
It says error and we need your official email ID. And there's no justification or there's no explanation as to why they need my official email
because
ID.
they don't know.
so is this a loop?
So I will give you an example which I myself have. If I say navi9@gmail.com, people will refuse. If I say navi@navi.org, it will accept. See, navi.org is as much personal this thing as anything else. Okay. But some of the systems you have built, so even technology people who have built, they recognize anything in Gmail as
Personal email ID. Yeah.
if anything else is XYZ, even if say deepweb.com, they will consider it as acceptable.
In a LinkedIn account, there's a contact info button, right? If you click on that contact info, you can get, even if I've given my mobile number or my mail ID, that information is available.
Not for all. Not for all.
No. Supposing while creating my LinkedIn account, I have put the setting in such a way that in my contact information, my mobile number and my email ID are visible, right?
Yes.
Will that be deemed to be an instance of my personal information being made publicly available by me? And therefore,
That is for a particular purpose. It is not 100% public. It is for the purpose of LinkedIn. Why do you give it? You either you want to seek employment or you want to seek business. That is the purpose for which you have given certain information and purpose for which you have allowed certain things to be disclosed. Okay. If you make it private, you might have given the information to LinkedIn, but you are not authorizing them to put it in the public space. If a Google search or something is done, it should not become your.
It came out, suppose let us say LinkedIn in India, suppose the data breach. Okay. And then the authority say, I want to levy you 250 crores per instance.
Yes. Yes.
Can I as LinkedIn say, out of my, let's say 10 lakh people, 5 lakh people had voluntarily made their public information already available with the contact information.
Agreed.
So even if 250 crore information file is there, please apply only to that person, that portion of the data, which people did not make publicly available. So
Fine.
it is a
Definition of a data breach.
Right.
It's a definition of data breach. What is a data breach? Something which is confidential, if it goes out, it is a data breach. If it is already public, it is not a data breach. So you are talking of.
So they'll contest. They'll contest it.
Huh.
They'll contest for 2 crores. Right?
No, it's okay. That is, if they say that 50% of our people have agreed to give this and that is what has gone out, that may not be considered as data breach.
Maybe in the fine print of what you have not read,
right? So, right, like, when you have signed up for LinkedIn, maybe it's in the fine print, like, that we, take, your consent of how this thing making.
It seems to be an area where it is operated differently from other privacy laws of the world. Where, there are three layers: public data, publicly available data, and personal data. Is it, the doubt came up that is this a kind of a loophole for, to let out the publicly available data?
Reference you are saying it's a loophole, because GDPR doesn't have it, can we call it as a loophole? No, Indian law is Indian law.
Which is correct, but does the Indian law as of now throw some light on what exactly do they mean by when they say data publicly being available?
Maybe it will be the guidelines.
Right,
Okay,
absolutely.
you have to wait for the notification. That they may come up. I am only giving my view today, that it says publicly available, made publicly available either by the data principle or somebody else under obligation of law. Even in GDPR, when data is released for public, it is also for a purpose.
Right.
So if that is, for example, LinkedIn is job and other business purpose, it cannot be used for some other purpose, even by LinkedIn. So if you are scraping the data from LinkedIn, that is, if you are using it only for job or something like that, then at least it is coinciding with the purpose. But LinkedIn will not allow it, or they will make it some kind of a contractual thing that is left to them. Today, neither Twitter or LinkedIn allows you to simply scrape the data. You may still be able to do technologically, but it is not permitted. They charge you some kind of a license fee for that. So what is available on LinkedIn is either restricted by the data principle that it should not be shared, or by the platform itself. If somebody scrapes it, despite this, they are violating my consent to LinkedIn and LinkedIn's own published policies. Okay, but if they have taken a license from LinkedIn, that part is covered. Then LinkedIn has to see whether that permission has been given by the individual. Now, today they might not have taken proper consent, but tomorrow they will need to take consent, because we are going to challenge LinkedIn, not individually. Some consent manager is going to ask. You see, when you come to India, we are having in the roles, it is not simply data fiduciary and data principal. We have introduced a concept called consent manager. Consent manager is a business entity which acts as a trustee of data principles. They are knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than individuals. So if I and you read a permission request in mobile, we may not fully understand it. We may not, first of all, have the patience. And even if we have the patience, it takes a lot of time. Particularly, you go to any of the fintech companies, even in Bangalore, look at their privacy policies. If you can get one privacy policy which is acceptable to under this law, I will be surprised. Okay, but they're all doing business, startups. Okay, so it is not possible for individuals to manage the consent or manage the rights which the law has given to them. It will not happen even in future also. So we know that the law is there on paper, it will never happen. Okay, but what we have done is, we have introduced a consent manager concept. He can come up with a business concept. Say, I am going to take care of your personal data. You share personal data to me. So when Zomato or somebody asks, we will force him to pick up the information from me, not from you. So that if whatever permissions they ask, I will get that permission. Now, how the system will develop, we will wait and see. Most of you are aware of the consent manager platform, which is used in fintech area. Okay, that is an intermediary. Okay, it is a technology platform where there is a data provider on the one hand and data requester on the other hand, and the data automatically flows through the system. This platform owner called the consent manager, who is a aggregator in KYC and other things, he does not have visibility to the data. He doesn't know whose data is being asked for and whose data is being supplied. So it is a blind technology platform. This data consent manager is different. He is a data fiduciary. He is going to be licensed, accredited, registered with the Data Protection Board. there will be rules and regulations, which again we have to wait. Okay, a lot of things we have to wait. Okay, but it will be there. So based on that, this consent manager will have visibility. And what will it do with the visibility? If you give me your name, email, etc., and that person wants information for downloading a white paper, I will give him only your email address. In fact, he doesn't even want to know your name. Okay. So if you are going by the principle of data minimization, it is a question of a service of downloading a white paper. What is required is only the email address. It doesn't even require your mobile and other things. But for another service, it may be required. Okay. Gender may be required or something else may be required. So if consent manager will decide, if I am giving data to this X, I will give this much of data. If I am giving it to Y, I will give something else. So that is the business of consent manager, which our law has introduced. We'll come back to this with questions later. Okay, just giving a very quick overview of that. Another aspect which our law has thought of is the concept of a significant data fiduciary. Another very, very innovative way. You have to appreciate the government also to be innovative. See, so far we were talking of sensitive personal information, critical personal information. Now the government says, I will not talk about sensitive personal information. I will pick up a data fiduciary and say you are a significant data fiduciary. I will use volume of data, sensitivity of data, maybe other aspects also. That is effect on national security, effect on electoral democracy, and so on. Okay. And then say, you are a significant data fiduciary, he is not a significant data fiduciary. He may be handling more information. You may be handling less information. But I have the choice to declare one as significant, another as not. So that is how significant data fiduciary has been introduced, which is an improvement over declaring something as sensitive personal information and say whoever is handling sensitive personal information will be called a significant data fiduciary. That definition has not been used. Even in GDPR, you got explicit consent for special category and data. So data need not be classified. The data fiduciary is being classified. You must just understand that the data fiduciary is the person who determines the purpose and means of processing. Once that is established, you can be called a significant data fiduciary. Again, notification will come about the criteria, but government has got the freedom to declare A as significant, another person not significant, irrespective of the number of data elements they are processing. Okay.
So this is very similar to what we have in NBS, systematically important
Yes.
assets and
Yeah.
and reports.
Yeah.
There is additional cybersecurity requirements.
Yes. Yeah. So there perhaps the 500 crores turnover is the criteria. Here they have said, you see, volume and sensitivity, risk to the rights of data principle, potential impact on the sovereignty and the integrity of India, risk to electoral democracy, security of the state. So it's right. In fact, there are many manufacturing companies who are producing defense equipment and supplying it to our defense. It may be a small organization in Pinya or something like that. That may become tomorrow a sensitive person, significant data fiduciary. If I spot that this particular company is manufacturing some components which go to, let us say, defense equipment or something which is critical for national security, even say mobile systems or something like that, okay, one chip or something like that, that company may become significant data fiduciary. That is the beauty of this approach. You look at this as an approach to identify where data has to be given more security kind of a cover. Okay, we are still will have to understand this. Okay, people who have learned GDPR for last several years, they have to unlearn GDPR before you learn this. Otherwise, you will get confused. Okay, and you will not agree with me. The first thing is you have been trained on that concept. Okay, now we are talking about totally different concept.
Can I ask you one example?
Yeah.
So right now, this is a real example in our everyday we face. So let's say the Paytm is one of the classic. if everyone must have right? And whenever we ask for API, link, account link, some of the similar kind of, some of the app, when we start adding one of the accounts for the API, then it will actually display a list of the account to be actually added. So let's say if someone has a 4 bank account, the 4 bank account will be displayed. So now here significant data fiduciary perspective, the criteria. I think this is not the right approach, correct? Because I'm actually data principal. I can add whatever the account I can actually add for that app. It is not like all the account to be displayed. That means it's a public. Somewhere actually they are actually fetching the details.
They are fetching the details because your mobile is linked to the UPI accounts. And by their contract with the UPI authorities, they are getting that and displaying it only to you. They are not displaying it to me. Correct. And you are given a chance to choose one or all of that.
But my question is, after applying this law, whether the platforms should be restricted or not?
So then you have to ask this NPCI platform what they can share with the UPI subscribers on their end. And
one of the shows of you showing your mobile number. You're only linked your mobile number with 4 accounts, correct? They're only showing your mobile number with 4 accounts. You don't want to dealing yourself. You go to bank, say that for that, please dealing yourself.
The dangerous part here
Nothing is not dangerous.
Wherever this data will link, if that will be hacked, then the rest of the portions will be hacked.
Don't go.
I think we have seen the significant news. Honestly, I think what sir is talking at a very high level. We are coming to nuts and bolts of this. I think we've seen this significant data fiduciary is fantastic. And definitely banks will come under as significant data fiduciary when this act comes into what he mentions is the implemented of the law. And that time we should break ahead, not now, because we can't think for the government. Obviously, there is a panel and a committee and they would have gone in number of iterations before even they brought this thing. Even past this thing. I think we cannot compare it with hacking and the lower state of this business. Every day, all of this. Like every day I get 10 calls selling this. Today I thought it was HDFC Bank. It was HSP. Who the hell knows? Because they just call and I say, no, thank you, I have the credit. So I think that is at a lower level. This is at the highest level. And I think the point about the SME is very significant. All of the SMEs are doing this significant work for ISRO and Chandrayaan, which is in the news. A lot of small companies in PD are doing it. Don't even know the value of the technology. But they get the drawing and they do it. Right? Like today, if you want to do business intelligence for the government of the US, you require a security clearance. Or let me come to India with the significant data fiduciary. Tomorrow you want to do big data analytics or Indian, what you're talking about. This act is required. And there will be a security clearance for Indian nationals to do this. Like it will all come. We're just following them 20 years behind. Right? Any action. I mean, that's my perspective.
Industries have to understand what you're saying. While you're thinking about this, yes, the industries are not interested.
But the law says that when two laws are colliding, let's say the Indian law right now that we are talking about the act, and a sector-specific law, for example, in terms of finance sector, the RBI Act, that the sectorial will hold, will take precedence. That's what, right?
There are I will come to that section, then you interpret. You interpret. Okay, because this will remain a gray area.
One question. I know you mentioned about the consent manager. Is it necessary for the data principal to go through a consent manager in all cases?
No, it's not mandatory. It is optional. So
but you have an option,
and we don't have the consent managers today. That is such a new business that people have to.
It's an enormous business opportunity.
Yes,
enormous.
We discussed it 3 years back.
I know, remember. I know.
Okay. First time PDPP 2018 came in one of the Deloitte only. We had a meeting in Deloitte office. Am I correct? Deloitte office. There itself, that was my thing. He was very much thrilled with that concept at that time. So consent manager is a great business.
But don't be
not
application. Need a biologist like Deloitte to do it.
No, but no. In fact, this particular thing says that consent manager out of the criteria, financial criteria is also one of the things which they have mentioned. So I am saying that if you criteria, like somebody with 5 crore capital, 10 crore, 100 crore capital, then it's saying. I am looking at that being developed in the manner in which digital signature system certifying authorities have developed. There will be a certifying authority, but that 100 crore company cannot come to me and you and find out what we can do. They will have to have RAs. So a system of data principal, RAs, then this consent manager, they will together handle this. Consent manager will deal with all the data fiduciaries and I will ask him, why are you asking this permission? It is not required. You wanted to do KYC, so you took video KYC, but that should have been a one-time permission. And after onboarding, you should block that permission. Today, nobody is doing it. They are taking permission at the time of onboarding, which is purpose-oriented, you can't object. But after onboarding, why do you want to continue that permission? You are reading my camera, you are reading my SMS. It is not required. After onboarding, it should stop. But who is there to question? Tomorrow, the consent manager will question and blacklist the data fiduciary if he thinks they are not following law. And then the people who subscribe to the consent manager will say, this consent manager is more rigorous. I will become a client of this consent manager. I will not go to another consent manager. So consent manager business will be competitive there.
It will be like the rating agency business, right?
Yes. Okay.
You choose which one you want.
Civil or something, TransUnion and all these things, they will get into the business. That's it.
TransUnion is a company which did, in according to me, data laundering. Why? That is applicable to all Fintech. We all have given our personal data to bankers. Reserve Bank said, we want to reduce NPAs. Therefore, we want bankers to share the credit information. We didn't see anything bad in that. I'm an ex-banker. So they created CIBIL. We all said, okay, let banks exchange the data with CIBIL. CIBIL acquired 500 million Indian data, including transaction data, which is much more than your name and address. Okay. Then, at that time, CIBIL was owned 90% by Indian banks. 10% was TransUnion and one more company, which were technology experts. Today, 90% is owned by TransUnion. And it is a New York Stock Exchange listed company, commercial company. All of this 500 billion transactions data is now belonging to this US company.
Not only this, all the rating agencies are US companies.
I'm asking the question, how did State Bank of India sell its equity share to TransUnion, knowing fully well that in the back end, the data is being transferred, at least was it valued?
No, it was not.
It was not valued. So that's why I'm saying, okay,
the potential impact on the sovereignty and integrity of India, that's that, right?
So now I will declare a civil kind of organization and significant data.
Which puts CIBIL and the other guys in trouble.
Yeah.
In a big way.
Now TransUnion CIBIL will become a significant data fiduciary. Now they have already transferred. Anyway, cross-border, not much of thing is being stated now. We may not worry about it, but further sharing of that and profiling of the people and using it for marketing, that will have to be regulated in some way.
TransUnion, I don't think will waste their time on marketing. It's not because they're making money anyway by giving you a rating.
No, but
they're actually not following every time.
Somebody else will be using that.
No. So we will respect that. But the point remains is why is all the rating agencies belong to US agencies? All of them. There's only one rating agency in India which belongs to Indian company. I will not mention the name. All the others are USA. So all the data is accessible to US corporates from here on, which is going to be the third largest economy. So we'll stop there. Let's move ahead.
Okay. So obligations, some special obligations have been given to this significant data fiduciaries. Three major things. One is, if you are a significant data fiduciary, in fact, this is the first task most of you should do. You should check your own company and say, I'm a significant data fiduciary. Potential before the government announces and after government announces, you may have to get an expert opinion if necessary, whether I am a significant data fiduciary or not. Okay. Because DPDPA may not immediately ask you, 6 months down the line, DPD may send you a notice that you are a significant data fiduciary according to our notification number so and so. You did not register, you did not have a DPO, you did not conduct this audit and other things. So it is better that your board passes a resolution saying that I am not a significant data fiduciary or I am a significant data fiduciary, I will do these things. It is a responsibility of the board. All independent directors will be responsible for guiding the companies properly. Okay. Now, if a company is a significant data fiduciary, you have to appoint a data protection officer who should be based in India. You should appoint an independent data auditor who will do data audit on your company. Then you have to undertake DPIA, data protection, impact assessment, periodic audit, and anything else.
Actually, this will go like the GST. Everybody, a lot of people, a lot of GST when they put the 10 lakh later. Right? So the same story, the government will wake up later and set a certain, which are not there, the benchmarks, where you will become a significant data acquisition. It won't be on the nature, it will also maybe, as you mentioned earlier, on the turnover. Right? Because the risk is also a value of data and the turnover. And what are you doing? Definitely, this is going to have a big impact like the man said, our RBI regulations are going to change. Every regulations will change and our data will Hyderabad, the insurance regulator will also change. Because their things are very anti-competitive. So there is going to be a significant upheaval. The financial sector, I can see. Right? And that, all of them definitely have become data fiduciary.
They want a significant data fiduciary.
With health insurance, they have a health data also.
Yes. That's also significant data fiduciary. Okay. This person has to be based in India.
Right.
Okay. Then it says he should be responsible to the board. There is some meaning into that. No? Earlier, it's clearly said he should be a KMP. Okay. Key management personnel, as per the company side. Now they have not used the term KMP, but they say he should be responsible to the board, which means that he cannot be responsible to a CRO. He cannot be responsible to the CISO. He has to be directly to the board. Board is even above the CEO. Okay. So DPO, we are talking about as a level beyond the current CXOs. Now this will create certain disturbance in the hierarchy within the company. It has to be managed.
But that's already there. You know, the audit committee reports to the board. Listed companies, the same way this will report to the board. And it will be one director who will head the
All these days, they were reporting to either CISOs or like the legal.
That's only in this in our business of cyber. But when it comes to audit, financial audit, there's audit committee in listed companies.
No, that's correct. That is only for the audit.
This is now being put on par.
But CFO is reporting to the CEO.
Yeah.
So CFO is not reporting directly to
the audit committee is a board director who sits there. The members of the board sit in the audit committee, which comes above this. And that is reportable to the board. So same way, this will also.
Now, how many companies have got the DPOs today?
None.
Now, who is the DPO?
But what drives the DPO?
Is the DPO also CISO?
DPO generally, see, if it's a global company, they follow the
global laws, Indian laws. You have worked with.
They have produced on the DPO where that person will be placed in the organization. Yes.
Again, it depends upon the organization size.
Yes.
If the organization is very huge, then there is a DPO appointment.
What is liability? His or her? What's the liability? Does he go to prison? Data is lost. What is the legal liability for that person? I mean, one is declaration and title. I have a DPO. What is the liability of the DPO? As per American laws, he goes inside.
No,
as per
legal
laws, he goes inside.
Want to put them inside? I will tell you the question for liars. What does it say?
Here, that's what I see. It go inside. Okay. The liability like independent.
That he is actually responsible to the board. He will be the point of contact for grievance redressal. In another place, it says he represents the data fiduciary. To whom? He represents it to the data protection board. So, if he does anything not in accordance with the law, there is a breach of trust. Okay. Under breach of trust, you can put in. Okay, I don't want.
He did lost like this, right? It's only decoration.
Okay. Fine. So, in fact, that I have not used in this thing, representing the data fiduciary, but the interpretation of representing can have its own meaning. Okay, we will say that he is going to be a data protection officer. Is he going to be an employee?
Yes.
Or is he going to be an independent consultant?
Either way, it's
Not mentioned.
Both will be outsourced.
Not mentioned.
not
mentioned. So they have used the word appointment both for data auditor and as well as for the data protection officer. In fact, I think somebody who can open this thing, they can always say. Okay, the word appoint and word designate would have been different. Designate is for an existing employee. Appoint is for an external person. But they have used the same word appoint. So until the final notes notification comes, we don't know. But we can say that most probably DPO will be an employee and the data auditor will be an external person. Okay? Because they were independent is there, independent data auditor. Okay. Otherwise, also DPO is like your company secretary and others. They have got some fiduciary relationship to the protection of data principles. So they've got a fiduciary relationship with the data principles. Okay, so if there's a conflict of interest between the data principles and the company's business interest, they have to be very careful.
Now, sir, it says, shall appoint a data protection officer who shall represent the significant data fiduciary under the provisions of this act, be based in India, be an individual responsible to the board, and one second, or similar governing body of the significant data fiduciary, and be the point of contact for grievance redressal mechanism under the provisions of this act.
So he represents the community of data principles in a way. There is a trust relationship.
Fiduciary, the word fiduciary itself is a
fiduciary within fiduciary. Yes, the DPO is like your company secretary. No, he has got some responsibilities to the shareholders. Okay. Statutory auditor also has got responsibility to the shareholders.
Liability also.
Yeah, liability also.
I mean, I was talking about the liability more.
That's
The enforcement is very poor in this
DPO
country.
also may end up in that situation. We do not know. Okay. Maybe if fintech companies want to suggest government that don't do this, then okay, that will be one of the recommendations. But these are possible. See, some of these things will evolve over a time. Okay, today I am saying this standing here, not that it will be accepted by the government. Okay, but it could happen. It could happen, particularly when the major data breach happens, and if I somehow find a link between the DPO and the beneficiary of the data breach, then the question will come: should we trust DPOs just like that? Okay, so these are things which will evolve. Okay. Independent data auditor has to do data audit, which is evaluate compliance in accordance with the provisions of this act, which means that section 1 to section 44, he should see what particular company is doing. He is not a statutory financial auditor, he is a statutory data auditor. Another beautiful business to be in. It's people who have been DPOs. Then you want to grow above that. This is the independent kind of activity which you should think of. Okay, you are not under a CEO, but you are an independent person. Okay, fine. Otherwise, general obligations are there, which is compliance to this act. Data processors only on the basis of contract, then maintain accuracy of data. Then they may not mention accuracy of the data, particularly when it is used for automated decision making. Say, suppose you have some data which you have collected some time back, it's the dormant data for creating some survey report or something you have collected that used data. It is not necessary for you to run around now to check whether the address is correct or something is correct. Okay, so this accuracy kind of a thing is more in when data is used for decision making or disclosure. Okay, so I think lot of things industries can be happy about in this particular thing. Implement appropriate technical and organizational measures, then take reasonable safeguards, then notify data. These are general obligations. One more set of general obligations.
process for lawful purpose. What is lawful purpose? Whatever is not declared as not lawful. Okay. Then notice is important. Notice and consent is important. Okay. It should be processed for a lawful purpose with consent. They have given one section called legitimate uses. Earlier, there was something called deemed consent, and people were questioning how can you deem a consent? Okay, we put a different name, legitimate uses. Okay, because that is more common. GDPR also has used legitimate interest. There is nothing different. The people who are actually complaining today about Data Protection Act of India, they are forgetting that more stringent or more questionable practices are there in GDPR. But because it is GDPR, everybody thinks that is okay. Yeah, government permission is there in GDPR also. Exemption for law enforcement purposes is there also. But here when we say exemption is required for law enforcement purposes, people will suddenly wake up and say government is
GDPR. This is about benign act.
Yeah.
It is not, it is just saying, let us put an umbrella first, start the data protection and slowly we will.
But remember, in GDPR, implementation is so different that there has been a case against the parliament. GDPR case against the parliament. And I don't know, DPDPA also there may be a case. I don't know. So India will not have. So nobody is going to put a data protection complaint against parliament. But in Europe, anything is possible. There the courts also perhaps look at it. But business will find it difficult. Say, we are not here to close the business. See, the difficulty of a privacy law like this is to find harmonious way of working with the government, the public, which wants privacy to be protected, and the business. Take monetization. Should we ban monetization? One section, no monetization, then all of you will have to close your business. Monetization is what is driving the industry today. Only question you have to ask is, have you told the data principal that you are going to use it in a particular manner? Have you passed on any rewards to him in terms of value-added service and other things? Take his consent. Consent has to be given in such a manner that he understands it. That is why our law says that notice has to be given in 22 languages.
Just a question around consent. Somewhere it was mentioned that, when certain websites, certain platforms are taking a consent, they try and put things in fine print so that we don't really bother reading the entire privacy policy, right? But now, under the fair consent of data principle, it clearly says that the request for consent should be using clear and straightforward language.
Yes.
Does that mean no more covering anything in fine print so that the data principle cannot understand what you're asking for?
You have to make it understandable. That is why it says languages. And the word data fiduciary is not data controller.
Right.
Okay. Fiduciary means he's a trustee. Okay. Without any other thing, the moment Justice Sri Krishna used the word fiduciary, it enhanced the responsibility of all the Indian data controllers. See, in a data controller, I can take a consent from you, intelligence, okay, by misrepresenting and other things, and say, I have got the consent. Here you cannot do that. If later on it is found out that it was obtained through misrepresentation, then maybe I can question that you need to do the fiduciary role properly. Data fiduciary essentially means that you are the trustee for the data of the data principal. So you have to explain to him, make him understand, and then take his consent. Once of proving that you have taken the consent is with you.
Okay, so no longer blaming the data principal that you've not read the fine print or you've not read the policy or fault.
You must hold a record of where you got the consent also. Okay.
Responsibility of taking consent action with the data
Once consent is given, subsequently the onus of proving that a consent was there is that of the data fiduciary.
Not with the data principal.
Not the data principal. Data principal will complain that I have not given any consent.
So till then it was more of a scenario where the data principal was blamed that you should have read the fine print.
No. Data fiduciary onus of proving that the consent was there belongs to the data fiduciary. What is the duty of the data principal? To give
correct information, not false information. That is one of the duties which have been imposed on the data principle.
There was a penalty of 10,000.
10,000 rupees penalty, just to make it clear, like in the PIL, if you make a PIL which is frivolous, or put fines on you also. Same thing, it is not that people will say, how can a data protection act penalize a data principle? It should be there only to protect them. But if some data principle is misusing his privileged position, which has happened in GDPR scenario, you have seen many cases where some email will come to your company. Are you processing my data? Give me all secrets. Emails. Okay. Now to find out whether you are processing that, it will take another 2-3 days for people to do. And there has been one case in that person is followed for 2 years, questions after questions after questions. It may be done even by our exiting employees also. Don't look at outsiders. Existing employee himself, if they ask somebody, instead of going to Glassdoor and writing bad about your company, he will simply ask his friend, you please send an email. Okay, let them struggle for another 3 days to find out whether your email is there or not. Okay, so in fact, that is why taking an inventory of your data today is very important. You should have an inventory. You should run a deduplication of your data, because my name may be there in one email address, in another email address, shortened name, etc. All of them is the personal data of only one person. You should be able to, tomorrow, for example, if you have to remove my data, you cannot say I will remove Navin at gmail.com, but Navin 2011 at gmail.com. I never knew it was yours. Okay, then, so you need to discover personal data and also ensure that personal data is properly tagged and deduplicated, so that in case of request for erasure, you will be in a position to do that.
And linkage to the individual. Linkage to the
individual.
Okay.
So
validation of the email.
Validation. So you need to actually have a customer data ID, customer ID, then link all his personal data to that. This is a big technology exercise for companies. Data discovery, start with, and then other things will. So especially in 1 year time, that 1 year.
Indian names, there will be many, what you call as, some Subramanyam will be known as MANYAM.
Yes.
MAINYAM, all those things. You may dictate something, they may write something.
So probably name also is not a unique identifier. The unique identifier may be an Aadhaar. Or even PAN, when into Aadhaar in most cases. But name is not a unique ID. So now you have to create your data register with what I call the core ID. Now you have to determine what is the core ID. If I take Aadhaar as the core ID, if you have collected Aadhaar, okay, if you're not collecting Aadhaar, maybe some other thing. Or email ID can be unique email ID, but an individual can have multiple email IDs. So you cannot consider him as multiple personalities. So how to merge? The least you can do is you can ask a person what are all the email IDs and make it his
If the person remembers.
So how do you identify a minor? You just ask a person, declare I am 18 years old. And anybody can declare that.
Yeah.
Okay, likewise, anybody can say I don't have any email ID other than what I have given above. Okay, so at least that is one of the document the precautions you may perhaps take. So these are the challenges which you have. I'm just highlighting this, not to say that this is bad in law, because this is there in every other law. Even in GDPR also this may happen. In fact, for exercising the rights, it says it is your duty to give verifiable identity. I think when we come to that rights, I will show that.
Sir, before that one question.
Yeah, please.
Is there any guidance which is coming out from the government on the technical and organizational measures? It's organizations will have to align.
You have got personal data protection standard of India, you use that.
No,
they will not come up. They will not come up. Either they will say you use any best practice in the industry, which can be ISO, but since ISO is not addressed Indian law, we are saying PDPCSI is a better provision. They will simply say that you should take adequate risk-based measures will be based on the risk assessment. Okay. The measures which are both technical as well as policy and other things to mitigate the risk. Okay, that's all they have already stated that. Beyond this, they are not going to specify because if they specify, it will only give opportunity for you. They will not say that you use PDPCSA. They will not say you use ISO 27701. You may use either. Or you may have your own system also. Okay. But when a data breach happens, they will come and ask, why did data breach happen? Did you not take the necessary measures? In fact, even in our IPA 2000, it is post data breach, the government will ask you to justify why that failure happened. So that is where you have to prove that I had taken sufficient this thing, and at that time, if they are satisfied, they may say, okay, I accept that this was beyond your control. But if they find any fault, because it is always easy to find fault after the event. Okay, anybody can find a fault. Okay, same thing may happen here. So they will not tell you exactly what is to be done. You have to evolve your own methodology for that.
So this PDPSA you should present to the.
We will present. Whether accept or not, I don't know. But we are going to present. Okay, our responsibility to make it available. If they accept it, fine. I am not expecting them to approve or give anything. They may not even reply to our letter. They will send an email and drop it in their attention. Okay. Try to tell them that this is, we have considered so many things here, which we have already done. We have already done and we will continue to do so. I think the industry has to first of all start accepting. Just as today, many DPO recruitment advertisements, they say preferred qualification, DPDPA. At least if they say, these are this thing, I am happy. One company has done that, Mahindra has said, okay, they have not added CIPP, but at least they have added somebody else other than CIPPE. What will CIPPE tell you about DPDPA? If you want to be a DPO of DPDPA organization, you need to Indian mistake, of course. Act has come 3 days back. I cannot create a DPO under this in the next 3 days. We are trying to do a lot of this awareness and trying to bridge the gap. But you cannot say preferred qualification is that. It's not saying that okay, there may be other qualifications there. Okay. Same way, in terms of frameworks, people will think of existing frameworks. Okay. But I'm saying I have created something exclusively for Indian these things. We have got 50 controls. Okay, out of this 50, 20 controls refer to technology which is similar to ISO 27001. 27701 has got some privacy controls that is also covered here. Plus we have added something more which we visualize as necessary, like data valuation, like distributed responsibility and so many things. So we feel that we have covered everything which is there as best practice and try to add something more. Why it should not be accepted? We are also like you do in SOA, ISO, we are saying that if your organization doesn't require all these 50, justify that with a documentation. If I am the auditor, I will accept that. But I need an implementation charter signed by the management so that I don't want to hold a DPO responsible for inefficient this thing. Okay. I am saying that our PDPCSI, instead of SOA, we are calling it as implementation charter. Then after the risk assessment, gap assessment, we want the management board to take a decision that my risk appetite is so much, I can absorb this risk. So we will remove this, we will remove this. Doesn't matter. But they should issue an implementation charter signed by the board to the DPO for the purpose of implementation. So the DPO knows that he is implementing what my board has said, because risk absorption can only be decided by the promoters. I as an employee or somebody, I cannot decide how my company can take 100 crores liability.
So will the CISOs be more happy that the DPO will be the
Someone else headache.
Because CISO does not have that responsibility directly to the authority. Those certain guidelines and other things may make you the say single point contact. The kind of liability
which may attach to DPO. So you can be happy. If you don't become a DPO, at least you'll be happy that you are at least safer.
CISO also can be a DPO, right? CISO also can be a DPO.
And may not be simultaneous, concurrently. CISO should graduate to DPO.
No, but the small companies, they can't afford so much.
Yeah,
High
not
people
many
come
those.
say, then all this
Nowadays, I think if you look at the job advertisement also, right, they expect a person to be like, managing both GRC, security, privacy. And then they-
Prevents the CISO from being a DPO.
That guidelines has been.
No, right now, it is not enough, right? But in India, you have all heard about it, there should be no conflict. And one case, even the compliance officer, the supervisory officer cannot be a DPO. I don't agree with that. Compliance officer, chief compliance officer should be a legal expert. Okay. But they have actually, I think it is for PwC or something like that. Okay. They have find that organization for having a CCO, that is the chief compliance officer, doubling up as a DPO. Okay, now I don't know India whether we take that extreme stand, but CISO has got his own duties and other things. He is the person that implemented the security, so who can ask him that your security is not covering this? There is a small conflict. If there is a different person, it will be better. But if you are a small company, you cannot do, then the management has to take it. What decision that I am not able to do this. In fact, most of the HIPAA also we sometimes HIPAA originally said we should have a HIPAA privacy officer, HIPAA security officer. But in India, most of the cases we say at least have one HIPAA compliance officer.
Someone is better.
One question in terms of the IT Act and the DPDPA Act that we have right now. Aspects wherein, so IT Act also talks about certain aspects of privacy. So will those be continued or will DPDP be our primary source of
What capital A is going? Which is reasonable security practices for sensitive personal information is not there.
That had a better definition of PII and FCD.
It had a definition of sensitive personal information. Now we don't need sensitive personal information. But there is section 72A, which talks of contractual requirements. It has got section 67C, which is data retention. It has got section 69A, which is in a way talking about surveillance rights, which also is combined with your disclosure obligations. Those things are all remaining.
Those will
remain. And so far, nobody has told what will happen about data breach notification.
Those will be in addition to our DPDP Act.
Yes. Now, when there is a data breach, many times we do not know whether only personal data has been breached or personal and non-personal data has been breached. So certain requirement remains. And certain requirement as of today is for both personal and non-personal data breach. Now a new entity has come and you are trying to say that one more data notification has to be given here. Whether it is in derogation of the report which you have to give to certain, we still do not know. If it is, then you have to take a call that what has been breached is only personal data. Therefore, I am reporting it to the DPB. I am not reporting it to the certain. Tomorrow, you find out that some data breach was also non-personal data, then you will be in default to the certain obligation. So ideally, you should say two emails, one to certain, one to here. And in terms of reverse action, they have to agree amongst themselves who will start negotiation. Obviously, today certain has been more or less dormant. They only record they can take it for say industry-wise decisions and something like that. But DPP may take individual interest in the company, what happened in your company, because they have to put in the penalties. Sir is not going to put in the penalty. But reporting may have to be done. Okay. Yeah. I was actually coming to this, we will come to this again, talking about the rights, this one, duties. In this, rights, there is right to access, then right to correction and erasure. There is a lot of debate we have to do for this erasure. Right to grievance dismissal and right to nomination. Tell me, how will you nominate? This is something new. Data, what? Where do you actually appoint nominees? When you have got an assignment,
which has got a value, and the asset owner is deceased, then you should know how to dispose of that asset.
This may be coming for the consent manager, right to nomination. Is it? It's not nothing to do with the consent manager.
This is one of the rights, general rights available to everybody. Okay. You can nominate a person as your representative for your data, personal data, which means personal data has been recognized as a kind of property. And on that, there is somebody who can claim his rights on that property. And this is a method of nomination. Information Technology Act as of today says we cannot have a will in electronic form. Okay, you can have a will in paper form in which I indicated digital asset. I can say I request my website content to my son or something like that in paper. I cannot do that in the form of an online consent. I accept or I do something like that. Which means that when you get a consent here, which normally happens in electronic mode, you cannot add one more clause, I nominate. If you add it as of today, it is in violation of ITA 2000. Unless ITA 2000 is changed. Government may do that. We don't know. Okay. But
it is right to nomination. I think as the existing law, dead persons were deemed to not be having any privacy rights.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. No, so after right to nomination, what happens to that? With a dead person, can he start claiming? Can somebody say that a dead person has a privacy right because they nominated somebody during he or she was alive?
This is for the legal pundits to argue. My one view is privacy is a fundamental right of whom?
Living people.
Living people. Okay. Dead persons are not considered actually having all the rights of a citizen. They may have other rights. Right? See, you cannot defame a dead person. Agree. That is defamation law. That is not data protection law. Okay. And also, remember that all the things which I as a data fiduciary is doing, I am doing on the basis of a consent. And consent is like an agreement. What will happen to a contractual agreement on the death of the person? Because no, that person has lost the right to make any changes. So contract becomes void. The moment the person, right? Maybe lawyers may explain this better, but this is what I have studied in the banking law. Okay. The banking law, the account level says this. But they have brought in a nomination law separately. An act has been there for bankers. Now, whether this can be considered as a special act for nomination of data is, we'll have to debate that. But otherwise, you have to, for accepting nomination, first thing is you have to accept that data is a property. And there is a owner for that property. And therefore, he has got the right to bequeath. Okay. Then when you settle the nomination, to whom do you settle the nomination? First of all, you should have the identity of the nominee, verification of the identity when you register itself, you should perhaps do it. Subsequently, when a person claims I am the nominee, there will be another person says I am a legal heir. Okay. You know the relationship between legal heir and nominee. Nominee is only an agent to receive the property for further distribution to the legal heirs. Nominee need not be a legal heir at all, or maybe one of the legal heirs. So, if you get an email from somebody saying, I am the legal heir, don't pass on any information to anybody else, then you should have a system of claim settlement. Organizations in this data need to have a claim settlement procedure like we do in banks. Okay.
There is need of a legal rules also to be made.
Yeah.
But regarding all this, you have a great succession act. When you die, transmission act is there, which is the most complex act I never read in your life.
Whether it is by will or by otherwise.
Yeah.
No, when you die deceased without the will, without a nomination, then comes the succession act, which is a right to everybody. I tell everybody, please
have a will.
At least have a child account to
Otherwise, in enforcing a succession this thing and getting a succession certificate is
That's true.
Okay.
without courts, you will never get it.
Maybe. So you need nomination, you need claim settlement, but I'm only pointing out that ITA 2000 has not given legal recognition to documents which transfer the rights on them.
Now the new government has made portal for all dead people for people to claim the money. Recently, the number of shares which are lying there which people have not claimed. Yes. Yeah, nobody knows. Even the company doesn't know. This is because the Succession Act is so complex. So this is a good beginning actually. It's a good
beginning.
We should see the license also.
Procedure-wise, now you have to, for compliance, you have to say what kind of controls I have to have for this particular process.
Before the depository claims, all paper shares. If your father didn't share what shares he had of Telco or ITC, you're sitting on crores but zero value because it was not DPDPA. It's become a big issue. And now the children also are ready to die. Then what? No, I mean, what do you do with those shareholders?
Okay, I'll come to that later.
Yeah. This right to nomination, who are the data fiduciaries who has to
All the data
must give this?
all data fiduciaries. No, but then you have to, if you say you exercise the right, okay, he has to give a provision. And it's an obligation to actually provide for rights management. So in your, even if nobody asks, you should have a provision for how you handle right to access, right to correction, and right to grievance redressal, right to nomination. Isn't that? It's an obligation.
No, but see, we had data subject Texas request earlier. Now this is a new category there, right to nomination.
It's a new category.
That's what it should be complicated.
No, but see, for Facebook and all those things, that's a
They have made, in fact, some of them have introduced how to handle that Facebook account on their kind of things.
No, but this may be required in a case of an employment or some of those things where an employee dies while on duty or something.
Nami.org, is there no copyright value to that?
Yes.
Okay. There may be an email account. I may have my Bitcoin wallet number there. So somebody wants to take that information. I cannot abandon that information, nor I can allow the blocks information to be taken away by the platform owner also. So there is a value. The moment we recognize data has a value, we know that there is a value which can be nominated. Yes. If there is a nomination, there has to be a process for that, and you should be able to settle the claim also if there is a conflicting claim. And in fintech, there will be everywhere this problem will be there, because you are having something like P2P lending, and then deposits being accepted. So in all those cases, assets are there, financial assets are there with the company. So what will happen to my series that were demat accounts? I have demat money with the lending companies or the fintech service providers. No. So there has to be a nomination. Okay. Now demat accounts, how do they nominate? You only successful.
How demat accounts right? Nomination. There is a nomination. Pre-demat is where the money is. The paper. Yeah. Because the old man would not make it digitally, he had no trust in the system.
Yeah.
Or the old lady. So they're all sitting at rugby somewhere. So imagine about 1,000 ICIC shares sitting at rugby.
How many share brokers have asked for my consent for nomination so far? I don't remember. No, but they have not asked me this thing. You said there's a thing. No, CDSL, have they nominated? Have they introduced nomination? No,
only if you go to the bank. If they get a bank, they come in between.
We keep getting SMS all the time.
Bank deposit. Bank deposit. It's to the bank because he's representing CDSL or NS. Yeah, we can figure that out. Yeah.
They have a deadline.
We should go to the bank.
No, to CDSL portal. Directly. So the similar system may have to come here for all fintech companies is what I'm saying.
Now, so yeah, since we were discussing about the principles of contract law and we are going a little back, so nominee will come later. Anyway, it's a valid contract, isn't it?
Correct.
And even if, let's say, the contract would not have come into picture, there is a difference between Indian law and English law. Offer itself. So if you are given an offer, in Indian law, revocation happens even on the death of on the like event of death of a person also offer holds validity under Indian law, whereas in English law the offer is revoked. So if that is the situation, obviously here in this circumstance, the principles of contract law are going to be applied. So there is a valid contract, and nomination legally automatically comes in. So it's never going to be like the contract is frustrated in the event of death of a person. So I mean that would kind of answer this question. Looking at it from contract law perspective.
Anyway, that's something which there can be a separate discussion on this. I don't want further governments are ready to jump in and start discussing law.
It's very difficult to see what is right, but it is very difficult to separate the fact that saw with the depository. What he said is right. You need to nominate separate CDSL or NSD, and there is a provision. Because they have this nightmare again. 4 children come, 3 wives come, and all claim the shares. Or 3 husbands, whatever the case. Very difficult. In India, it is very complex life.
And the right to nomination that is being spoken about is the digital personal data protection. That digital data. Correct. It has nothing to do with the banks.
But NFT is a digital data. NFT is a digital data.
Right.
My Bitcoin holding is a digital data.
Okay, digital assets here.
So there are many, and the content in a website is a digital data.
No, but there, I think, okay, well, it's a separate, as you said, a separate topic, but there are certain classes of assets which are recognized as property.
Yes.
With regard to digital personal data, there was a question mark, is it property or is it not property?
Yeah.
Right.
Now what do you say?
It seems that this, with this right to nominate.
With the right to nominate, it will give some property
in the category of a separate asset class and separate property class.
Yeah.
Right. So the discussion around this should not get mixed up with shares.
This data protection act is now deeming it as a property and giving you right to nomination, transmit it.
Now I'm discussing in the corporate circle, what kind of controls you will have to manage this right to nomination.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
That's
Including disputes which may arise at the time of claims. Okay, today, I don't think IT companies are ready for this. Am I correct?
It's not IT issue. It's a
Banks are ready, but other fintech companies are not ready. Banks are slow.
no. Even bankers are ready for certain asset class, which is cash, money, asset and all. Are they ready for this asset class is another question mark.
Yeah. Yes. But they are aware of what is created. But fintech companies, what do you say, Satish? They are not. This is the first time they will be thinking about this. What they will do is in the consent form, they will have a last line. I nominate so and so. I'm saying that also needs to be thought of in the light of the current.
And how many people will confuse this nomination with that nomination? And they think they both are the same.
Okay. So otherwise, right to grievance redress, right to correction and erasure. Erasure comes one as an obligation that once the purpose is over, you have to erase. Second is when there is a withdrawal of consent. Okay. But whether this erasure is similar to right to forget is another debatable point. We feel that
right. It doesn't enforce. Since you have a right to do it if you wish.
Correct. When you withdraw the consent.
That's not.
No, when you withdraw the consent. Am I required to?
I don't come across withdrawing consent.
No, now you have now it's consent request, and people will come to know that I have a right to withdraw. Okay, so some people just for the sake of it, say yeah?
Some activists.
For some activists. In fact, that's the reason why it says withdrawal of consent, which results in some kind of damage to the company, you can get some kind of a compensation. Okay. Otherwise, people may actually harass a company by sending out consent boxy. I call it. Okay. Your competitors, you can have somebody else from Geo sending 100,000 consent boxing to Airtel. Many of us have got multiple SIM cards. Yeah.
How many more slides do you have, sir? Because your questions are going so much.
It's okay. our effect, this thing is to discuss.
So we are kind of merging Q&A with.
Yes.
Our progress.
Yeah, okay, fine, okay. Cross-border, there is nothing right now to discuss, okay?
So, the question in cross-border, like,
Yeah.
the employees, like the subsidiaries of US companies, right?
Huh.
So they like Indian employees' data is to be shared with US employees in two different countries, right? So what is the provision for that? Whether some employee can say, why you're sending my data to different countries?
As of now, in the cross-border thing, the government says that I will designate some countries where restrictions may apply. As of today, there is no such blacklist. So all countries are under whitelist now, but at least a few countries will come when the first notification comes. Okay. So until that time, you can send it to US and other things. I don't think there will be any problem at all. And one more thing you have to see, legitimate use includes use for the purpose of employment. For safeguarding the company's interest, like loss or liability, preventing corporate espionage and other things. So for employment, GDPR, you have the similar rights to the public, more or less. Okay. Here, there is a legitimate use. Consent, even if you don't have, if it is for one of these users, it is acceptable, but I would advise companies to have a policy for legitimate use kind of a thing and document it properly. Okay. Then other things which is.
So this has to be later, this has to be added in our policy document.
Policy document. Okay. Other legitimate use includes medical emergency, etc. Then, okay. Then in the consent, of course, there is something regarding mergers and acquisitions. Okay. Children data, like any other normal these things, behavior monitoring and other things are allowed. Okay. Any other questions which we come across, I will discuss that. Please change the slide here. These are the penalties. Okay, this is the last slide. Okay, penalty. Then we'll go into more questions. Okay, penalties. They have given some 6-7 items. I say up to 250, up to 50 crores, etc. Can be anywhere between that. You can have combinations. It's not that only 250 is the maximum. You can mix up and make more. And our minister has also told that each data breach can be considered as an independent thing on which penalty can be there. Yes, publicly made statements saying that if there are 10,000 data breaches, 10,000 into 250 could be the. Okay, he's only saying that it can be much more than this. Don't assume 250 or 500 crores is the maximum. Earlier 500 crores was the maximum. But they have given something in these penalties. Data principle doesn't have a right to claim compensation under the Data Protection Act. One of the things that people are questioning. What this act does is, they don't want to put the DPP in a situation where I make an assessment of how much loss you have made because your data has been lost. You can do a self-evaluation, then see how much value of your data. If it is name plus, say email plus, say mobile number. Now tell me what is the value you will claim. You have to claim, no, compensation means you have to claim and prove that this is the damage you have made.
Very difficult.
If you have suffered a financial loss out of identity theft, that is different. But for basic personal data, it is difficult. They don't want to burden this DPB with this requirement. But currently, you have got civil laws, you have got ITA 2000 adjudication. You can bring this claim under section 43 of Current Information Technology Act. 43A is not there, 43 will still cover it.
So, sir, you see your digital assets, your personal digital assets, this is the personal data.
Yes.
So if let's say your crypto wallet is lost, right? So you'll not be getting anything, whereas government will be earning a lot of money out of this.
No, government will not say. This is again a misconception. Say, what government says is,
I want data fiduciaries to take certain measures so as to prevent data breach for others. If they don't do it, I will put penalty. If you have suffered a loss, go to the civil court or go to the ITA 2000, claim your damages. But this act will not do. Like this act covers only digital personal data, not other things. This act doesn't cover the compensation to data principal. You get any criminal thing also. In the criminal case, you go and file a complaint. That person will be given life sentence. You will not get any compensation for that. You have to go to the civil court and try. Likewise, yeah, that's segregated. Okay. We don't know. DPD may still take a chance, and in any complaint, they may ask the data fiduciary to pay some damages. But if it is not there, we don't have to worry too much about that. Then the other thing is there is something like voluntary undertaking. When somebody, a complaint is made and the DPB is looking at imposing the penalty, you can actually go back to the DPB and say, I'm sorry, I have taken these steps and I voluntarily undertake to correct the measures and other things. Then the DPB may consider that for the purpose of reducing the liabilities. Okay. Fine.
So what is the structure of the parent organization which will do this?
DPB.
See,
DPB will be
AS,
an independent board like TRA and other things. There will be a chairperson. There will be several.
which cadre of the government?
Huh?
For example, SEBI, everybody came from IRS. So even today, there's only such a system.
They have said that people who are appointed here should have these kind of qualifications. What are the qualifications? They should have data science. They should know cyber law. They should know information security.
At the bureaucratic level.
We don't know. You may have come also.
No, I don't say it. But
No, I'm saying.
is there an organization structure thought about?
Board, the chairperson, a board. They have not mentioned the number of people. Here they have said 6 people. It will do most of its activities physically. Okay, they will have a small secretarial office, and whenever complaints are received, they will appoint a subcommittee, and then subcommittee will do the inquiry and report back to the board. Board will decide whether it's 100 crores, 50 crores, or whatever is that. If you want to appeal against that, you can go to TD SAT. If you want to still appeal from the TD SAT, it goes to Supreme Court. TD SAT is where retired Supreme Court judges are heading there. So that is there. So this particular DPV will have a chairperson and members. Obviously, the Ministry of Information Technology will decide or have a search committee or something and appoint. Okay. But there is no need for consulting the Chief Justice of India. There is no need for consulting the leader of opposition. So this is what some of the people are saying, that it should be independent means only because, earlier, first this thing, the committee should have like your CBC and other things. CJI, leader of opposition, and one person with the Prime Minister. That kind of selection is not there here. So you can argue, yes, ministry may appoint somebody who is known to them. They have retired person who is a secretary or something like that. They may appoint. But they have indicated what kind of qualifications have to be there. And in that qualification, they have included the normal IT security, cyber security, cyber law, and so on. They have said only one person needs to be a legal expert. It is not that the chairperson will be a retired Chief Justice or he will be a legal person. He may be a technology person. Like Nandan Nilekani became UIDA chief. They will find out somebody who is technologically capable of understanding the various issues here, put him there as the chairperson. And they will have other people to support him. Now, until actually the names come out, we do not know how fairly they will do it. Today we can say that we expect them to be as fair as possible. Then we will see what is the criteria. Earlier there was a 70-year and the thing that also has not been mentioned yet, but it will be a 2 years contract.
But sir, how will they operate operationally? Every state government will have a representative.
No. This will be a digital office like DPDPA. Okay. Then you can have, like, they have chapters, you can have representatives at various places, but
they will be only representatives of this person, not have their own authority.
Okay, I think now they will have a physical office.
They will have a physical office. They will have a physical office, but try to do most of the activities digitally.
Digitally, that is fine, but I think.
No, they have a physical office.
No, but as we discussed in our last webinar, the way this government, see, it's okay, not a political discussion, but it's a technical discussion. So it will be like a regulator, like the CCI, TRI, IRDA, SEBI. So it's a new, it's nothing new. Okay. But the way they are trying to appoint people without having any proper process, I think it will go to the Supreme Court for litigation.
Go back to one.
As it happened in CCI, the Competition Commission of India. Initially, they tried to appoint not a High Court judge or any judicial person. So then someone moved to Supreme Court, Brahmdat versus Union of India. Competition Act came into existence in 2002. But then till 5 years, the matter was pending in the Supreme Court. And finally, government amended the law.
Data Act, right? From Justice C. Krishna's time, people have been.
No, so what I'm trying to say is they need to appoint a retired High Court judge or a retired.
Finally, irrespective of what Navi said, there will be a judicial person.
Yeah, there has to be a judicial.
It will not, according to me, judicial person will not be heading the court.
No, not heading. A retired IAS officer will be.
Retired IAS
or
officer.
maybe the serving IAS officer. So the new trend is nowadays even the serving IAS officers would like to take the charge. Like the CCI, the first time, the serving IAS officer is the chairman. This is the new trend.
And a lot of IAS officers are good at tech English.
Yeah, I think
many of them very good at that.
Some of them are really good.
So, sir, the question was, how will they administer this once the board is formed? Are you saying that there's a system being developed now? Which will
See,
rules?
This board will focus more on the industry disciplining, like they will act as more like an adjudication kind of a thing. Most of the policies, ministry will still come up with their guidance. Maybe it will be issued in the name of DPP, but there will be a department like cyber law department there is one such department in ministry, like the data protection department will be there. That will perhaps develop most of the policy documents, and then DPP will of course be consulted and it will be issued. That will be the, in terms of issuing of guidelines. Then complaints when they land, they will perhaps have a portal where complaints can be made or something like that. They will appoint a committee and to inquire whether inquiry is necessary. If so, go about that.
But some are they going to appoint some like the permanent officers on deputation basis?
Yes, possible.
It looks like, because I'm talking with some people in Delhi, a lot of senior officers are just waiting for this board.
Yeah. At least they'll be in the news for a few months.
No, they were calling me actually when it's going to happen.
They should not spend too much of energy on that. That's what I'm saying.
I think the key takeaway here is the certification. Which is important for people to know what this act is and how it adds value to
yes.
Which is what you are hearing along. Yeah. I think the significant first mover advantage.
Yeah.
And people need to understand. And there are a lot, not only tech, there is legal also. Correct. There are two pieces too. You have to get both.
See, there will be registration of significant data fiduciaries. There will be consent manager registrations which this board has to do. Then data auditors, they may have a system of accreditation. Those are the things which may be part of the functions also.
Like RERA. RERA also, they have the same registration process. That every agent has to register.
The government will definitely find a method of registration and how to make money out of it, also digitally. So we don't have to teach them.
I have taken a lot of time, I know. Okay. I of course had a few case discussions also, so that if discussion does not go far, I thought this will be.
Very almost like a government committee now deciding this.
Yeah.
Very sorry.
So that's why we'll go into this. This will be more interesting because some of you may identify yourself with some of the businesses. We'll quickly go through that as an example and your views about how this act will apply to this. You can perhaps. Okay. We are talking of a company in Fintech. which is a loan platform. Number of such companies are there. The minimum sensitive information you collect is PAN cards. Okay. And most of these people will verify the credit rating, the preference for civil or any other this thing. They will have their own AI to monitor this person's spending habits, borrowing habits. In fact, they know how many people have inquired about loan and how many times you have rejected that loan. I think that is one of the parameters which they will take. So they are going to analyze this data. At the end of it, they come to an automated decision making in the form of your credit rating or something like that. Okay. Now there are some people who are running this as a platform and letting banks and others use this and then provide the loans. Okay. Some people may be NBFCs, registered NBFCs themselves. Now tell me, if you are a company like this, what are the things we have to start doing now? Immediately. 1, 2, 3. Your CEO asks, give me 3 things to be done in compliance. Now suddenly this act has come from nowhere. Okay, now a board meeting will have to be held today. Your board has to immediately ask your CISO or whoever is there, please give me a list of things to be done. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. With respect to compliance, a very simple question. Does all the companies has to be compliant, and what is definition of compliance?
No, all are have to comply with the general obligations. I gave 2 slides of general obligations. 1 slide on what is important for significant data fiduciaries. Significant data fiduciaries have this DPO, DPDPA, and data analysis. But other people will have to take consent. You have to give notice in multiple languages, and consent will have to be documented. Okay, those things are still there. And security and organizational methods, which is nothing but a full set of security things which you have to do. All that is obligation for everybody.
So even small companies
have to do. In your risk assessment, you may say my risk assessment is less than another company. Okay, but the nature of risk will be similar. Whether you are small or big, whether you are a cooperative bank or State Bank of India, nature of risk is same. But State Bank of India may have say 1 lakh crores. A cooperative bank has got only 100 crores to lose. Maybe risk is different. But the nature of risk is same. You have to be compliant to the general obligations. You may not, if you are small, perhaps you are not a significant data fiduciary. I assume that you may not be a significant data. If you are big enough, and there is an exemption for startups. Yes. But by notification, not automatic. You have to apply to the DPP and ask for you to be considered as a startup, and they will perhaps tell you what forms should be submitted and other things. Okay, so the list of exemptions you have to study whether I come under any exempted category, and exemption also is not absolute exemption from the act. Yeah, it is only for say not taking consent, not issuing notice in 22 languages, kind of a thing. Security, nowhere exemption will be there. Rights management also no exemption will be there. Cross-border, no exemption should be there. But some exemptions will be there. So do you come under that exemption? Startup is one of the categories. If you are a registered startup, you can, I feel that there will be a system whereby you have to report it to the data fiduciary so that they will not necessarily send a notice or something like that. They will ask for your registration details and other things when you are formed or something like that. Then as long as you enjoy the status of startup, which I think is for 10 years, you try to use this. But when they give permission, they may put conditions. They may say that the exemption will be available for next 2 years or something like that. Nothing prevents them from giving that. Okay. So these are
going to generate a huge volume of work for the
what?
Huge volume of work for the
work. Every complaints is like that. They will do it digitally, yeah, but they will have a portal. You have to apply in the portal. Most of the time they will not respond like such. You keep it on record. But when things go wrong, they will look back and see whether you have submitted correct information and so on. So as a compliant company, you cannot take it lightly.
There are already so many complaints.
So it's always very simple. No, all these days you enjoyed non-compliance or whatever, compliance applications. Yeah, big deal.
No, let's say if you're 10 people company.
Sir, you are agreeing to, if you are processing huge digital data, then you are agreeing to, comply to GDPR.
I'm saying smaller companies, like just 10 people company, it's going to be a burden for them. And you are just having 10 employees data.
No,
Right?
you have to simplify it.
If you lose that data, it's not going to impact any.
No, but the employee may get impacted, right? So you are processing healthcare data and then.
Your employees' personal data.
No. Yeah, employees also will come into the picture. You have an obligation to your own employees also, right? So there are two angles to it. One is if you are processing customers' data, that's a different matter. You are obligated. But you, for your own employees, you have options are there.
See,
Your own employees.
you make a risk assessment and you declare that your risk is very low. Then whatever risk is there, I will absorb that risk. If you want to do that, then you can now avoid any compliance. But if there's 100 crore fine, if you are willing to take it, it's fine.
I see CA firms, right, not even legal. With one more compliance critical.
CEs are not trained to do data audit. You need data auditors. No, they have to learn.
CS do security audit.
They cannot figure out. They cannot figure out. They have to learn.
They need their own security certification also. They see
but they need to be certified.
That is different, sir. That is different.
No, data auditor is not equivalent to financial auditor. ICA will try to work with the government, I'm sure. See, today, bank audits are all done by chartered accountants. Okay, fine. That is the capability of arm-twisting the government. But data audit is a different function. You ask anybody who has done.
I'm sure they thought about security audit. The CS came in. That's why
That is different.
just I know the story very well.
Sir, that is different. Sir, that is different. That is internal control for financial reporting and internal control for.
Sorry, today the CS certificate is recognized by SEBI, IRDA, and
For financial reporting, sir.
not
For a financial statement.
So we are not getting to this effect.
No, it is not.
I was asking about DISA, sir. You go to any chartered accountant's office today and see a bunch of digital signature keys.
Yes.
What complaints they have got about information technology? I can put that chartered accountant immediately in jail.
No, what we say is, that's different topics.
They are not supposed to have money.
it's not delegated.
So, I cannot delegate by signing in digital signature. Information technology. I'm only ready to say. Compliance. Chartered accountants are powerful. I have even friends in chartered accountant, no doubt. ICA is powerful. We can ask the government to declare ICA. The question is, are chartered accountants coming under DPDPA? Tell me.
No.
Is there any exemption? There is no exemption. I don't know. ICA may go and get that exemption. I'm not sure.
ICA will get. The only competition to us who really want to do this from a legal and technology perspective is the CA, who is equally smart. The syllabus today.
It is a data audit.
Not a question of smartness. It is a question of different subject matter.
CA is smart.
No, you know,
I understand
Not about the
smart. He can design the brain data audits.
That is not the case.
like in the CHA individual, if individuals can have that, certifications done or the proper process, completed, so they can be done. I am saying. Let me ask somebody who's going to start a person who will go to 5%. Unless something they will do that, they can't just. That's what I'm saying. I will start. Okay, who will I go to for all these countries? Let us ask some starting founder here.
Go to Navi, go to Navi.
No, I think you go to wait. No, I'm not legal. It's right. This question. Somebody asked the question. Who will certify the companies? Okay. Yes, so you have got something called lead auditors.
Correct.
Okay. Likewise here, there will be auditors who will be coming in. And DPDPA may recognize them or may not recognize. We don't know. Okay. But people who are sitting here or data auditor, he will do a soft audit.
Like certain auditors are there. Will be empanelment process.
They will do absolutely.
The moment which anyway doing GDPR audit. So we are not
Chartered accountants will come in. KPMG will come in, Deloitte will come in, EY will come in.
And they'll unpanel the DPs at board. They'll be a running process.
They will come. They are intelligent. They are using their even document skills are there. They can create a better presentation than what I can say.
CA plus CISA is doing it small.
Yes. So they can do. But I'm saying automatically you don't say all CS will be data auditors. No, it will not. It will be very dangerous if that permission is given. Okay.
And only give a perspective from company. I'm saying in practice, what happened in Nigeria, they started with appointing a full auditor for the data protection. 75% of the business is going to be big four firms. Now, technical people and then lawyers.
I really gave a perspective. It's not a but you add on to that, the course is not full of CAs.
Yes, I agree to that. Because not full of CAs. We are 3 people sitting and none of us are.
We are Deloitte, right? They should give
So that's what we're saying, that we are, GDPR is not quite accreditation, but we still go ahead and do GDPR.
Take the best global practices, you guys will get certified and you get a service.
We also need to take into consideration that this is a fairly new act, and for it to set a process, it's going to take some time. And it should take some time for them to come up with.
Discuss for 15 years, so registration.
Ask Navi. Navi, when did you start talking on privacy?
2005 or something like that.
That was a long time back, right?
Yes.
Talking about it and it being in the
Asking for it from the industry and expert perspective.
No. I started what was called IISF, Indian Information Security.
That's how I know it.
309.
I know,
Okay.
it's all virtual even those days.
No, that means for compliance of information security, that IT Act 2000. IT Act 2000 compliance, the first time it was said in an open forum was December 2000.
Correct.
October this was there. In a CIA seminar in Madras, I said this is going to be the digital mantra for the future. ITA 2008, 2000 compliance. That will be taken 2008. Okay, so we have been discussing it. Now there are many auditors who are DPDPA auditors. They can always learn about DPDPA. I am only saying that today's GDPR auditor cannot immediately jump into this. They also have to learn. But once they learn, they know the template for conducting an audit. Okay. ISO people are also aware of how to do an audit. He has to add a few more controls from privacy angle, for which he needs to understand the legal aspect of that. But he can do it. In one training, he can pick up that this thing.
So does he start training on this also?
He will.
I'm still saying like IT audit, in 1990 we started the American one, CAC. So in 92, Chartered Accountants created their own quality. All CAs were qualified as CA auditor. They are the ones who are going to make money.
That's where I'm coming. Okay. That's why I wanted you to speak because you see it. I come very late to this.
But data auditors as individuals, if they come up, they hear is an opportunity, people can use it. They can always service a big four. What doesn't matter. Okay, big four cannot do people to work for them, no.
Great opportunity for those.
Yes. Okay.
Fine.
And
for now, we need to do a test as a CI institute to certify.
Just as ISO has got a lead auditor system, we have developed a lead auditor system for PDPCSA. And we have got FDPPA certification bodies who can do that audit. And we are saying that the person who has to lead that audit should be a person who has got a DPO qualification. So
just coming back to the fintech story. Not this generally was like the fintechs or well, traditionally RBI focus was more banks, and then of course RBI came out with a lot of guidelines for NBFCs. So we assume that RBI will come out with privacy.
Possible. See, when ITA 2000, no, when ITA 2000 came.
Let me complete. So in 2016, RBI came out with a framework, security framework for banks. Now they issue the NBFC NBFC for
payment aggregators.
Actually, we call it as PSOs, payment service operators.
Yeah.
So when we feel that RBI will come out with some privacy.
Are those going to come out?
I was in a money control event. Now, when weeks back, say, when the RBI deputy governor says fintech are going to be regulated. Now, apart from that, when ITA 2000 came, RBI came up with internet banking guidelines. Then when ITA 2008 came, they came up with this Gopal Krishna committee report.
So if some work start.
Here also, then started
Approaching that fintech whole space.
possible. But right now we have situations like this. Okay. They will escape. Now, how do they escape? If I give a complaint against one of these fintech companies, DPDPA wants to act. He said when GDPR came into existence, on day one, Trump's filed a complaint with Meta. Okay, and it ended up with 1.2 billion or something like that.
1.2 billion.
$1 billion. Euros. Okay, almost equivalent of $1.3 billion. That on the day, GDPR was effective 25th of May. He filed a complaint. Okay, India we are still not doing it. DPDPA will not do that. Okay, but I'm saying that it is possible. We can look at some of these companies, and if they are not in compliance, nothing prevents some Tom, Dick and Harry to send an email to DPP, and DPP will at least start inquiring about it. Inquiry itself is a compliance nightmare for you. Okay. But they may give time. They may give a time of about 1 year or something like that.
But this is a very significant risk for those companies which are digitally enabled.
Today, everybody is digitally not
Those are digitally enabled. Like your Digisante business, I think there is no business of the digital.
No, but everything is digital only, right? So, but non-digital, anyway, it's not a
place in Bangalore like this. I will not put the names. But
yeah, they're very
yes, I'm only describing the nature of this thing, credit score you are collecting, and then using it for your own.
Emails also.
Yeah, Tulika, what is
Yeah, the first, it's a very, in these data success without consent of the corrections and corrective actions that can be taken by the organization.
Yes, data is processed without consent. Now, actually, they have to ask for first consent. So far, they have not taken the consent, agree, but now they have to ask for first consent. If they don't get response, they can continue the process.
And there is a response of the case study that we want. In which case study is already got a test. And then there's only the consent request form incorporating process. For existing personal data principles, 10 consent requests and the 5 of DPDPA. And then ensure the compliance of DPDPA with the
Okay.
and data.
Yeah.
More specifically,
But so that is the expertise we have in FTPPA. One is our Kolkata chapter president. So you have many of those people available. So if any company wants an audit to be done, we are ready to do that and use the framework also and give a certificate of some sort. This is a management-oriented certificate. Management has to be confident. DPP is not going to say that if you get a certificate from next, you give a tick mark. No. But management has to lot of due diligence. Due diligence is through that. Yeah, next, yeah. Actually, something which is happening in Bangalore. Okay. P2P lending platform. Okay. Higher risk element because both sides are collecting personal data, and then over and above, you say that recovery will be done by our own commission agents. Okay. I have written some articles on my thing and you can go through it, but some of them have thought about ITA 2000 compliance. But these are the people who will have to act very quickly. Okay. Okay, the exact this thing we'll leave it for further discussion. Other examples. Okay, this is about the digital insight people are claiming. Okay, now what you need to worry about here is who is the data fiduciary, who is the data processor. This is an important aspect which you have to look at. Because many times, even in cloud service, who is the data fiduciary, who is the data processor? Amazon is actually your agent. Okay, you should be the data fiduciary. But how many of us have got the courage to tell Amazon, you please tell me, do what I want? we accept their list. See, when a processor imposes his means of processing, I call him as a joint data acquisition. If you do only what I want you to do, then you can be a processor. I will take all the responsibilities. All the legal responsibilities are on data fiduciary. But if you say, I have got my own insight creating software, I will do whatever I want and then give you a report, then you are doing the means of deciding the means of processing, which means you are a joint data fiduciary. So in your contracts, you have to see whether that works have been properly mentioned. Otherwise, he will do things and you will take the responsibility.
Okay, I think, sir, in this context, these things, this has to be diluted to accommodate Mr. Microsoft, Google, and Mr.
Google has willing.
But the whole government data sitting on AWS.
No, the data says you are, I'm giving you a space, you are using that space, I'm only a processor. They will not be responsible.
They have no liability.
Actually, they have a liability. Here is actually one catch. So, let's say the US government, AWS or GCP or the Azure, they will post any US government data. They have the specific law. So whether that is on-prem, if someone will be hosting from on-prem, they have a special law, and if there is a cloud, there is a special law. If one of the within the network, if that is not applicable, so the first the company organizations which actually dealing with their software, so they will not liable to remove that. It is very strict because every year they will actually
All these guys go and build in Washington. They build a separate cloud for the Department of Defense, whichever government you want.
That is actually one aspect. That is the when the defense will do that, but there will be some other not always the this government will come and build their network. So they will outsource some of the posts.
And I'll give you another. Remember the US government, you must kind of Indian government.
I will break for tea and you can continue. But one thing I am happy that I carried on the discussion until this time. But because Avinash was asking whether we have 3 hours material for discussion. Okay. So there's so much movement.
Sir, privacy पूरा दिन चलेगा.
To the ministry, and what we are any of you would like give your views, you can send it to either to DPDPA or to MLS. We will try to consolidate that. I think some takes that responsibility. We will try to frame.
So you please share your own suggestions, comments, observations.
And November 27, 28, we are having our this year's Indian Data Protection Summit, IDPS 2023. Can I say, yes, your premises in not here, they have got another beautiful auditorium. Okay. November 27, 28, mark the date. We will have a session exclusively on fintech related issues. Of course, it is based. The artificial intelligence is one of the areas of our focus for this year's ADPS. Fintech, we are going to have one more session there. Maybe some of these thoughts, what you present now, we will take it up for core discussion at that time under a larger audience. Okay. So thank you, friends, for taking your time. I request
for HOD, and I think before C gives the word of thanks, I do say thanks to Dr. Daisy. The entire administration, management of the law school is taking care of.
So this was a very different kind of roundtable discussion we had, and especially with a very upcoming topic, because we're going to get it, rolled out to the industry and academia. And we have LLMs also, our masters in law in this particular area. So this helps us in a very nice partnership. And Mr. Navi, who is Navi Vijay Shankar, who is really helping us with this and has taken the lead and collecting all people from various sources, various areas to come together. So that is kudos to you, sir.
Thank you.
And this analysis and this elucidation on this topic is immense, which has helped every other person. And this will be a new era which will begin. And with Mahe and Manipal Law School, with Dr. Avinash, who always thinks about new things and new areas, And Punika was after this running around some small details because our admin head is also going to get married. So, their boss was coming. And she's a new entrant. So she was very busy. She's trying to see all small details, how to get this covered, and everything should be fine. And there's nothing, nobody should be in like any trouble. So thank you, sir, and thank you, Punika.
And also send people who are online.
Yes, we have a lot of people online who are, this is something that people have an interest, really take the pain and the time to come and sit and listen. Otherwise, listening is a very painful job. Everybody knows that. So we have to speak, but listening, nobody wants to do that. But the context and the texts and the content is so important that we have all of the people. Thank you all the online and the offline. Thank you for this August audience. Yes.
Please join us for the hiking.
Please, everybody come.
And we have. So.
Please wait for us.
Yeah, you can see it.
Discussion will be outside.